Okay, this is a really rudimentary basic tutorial in how to create a character mesh, and it's a real simple one. It does not involve any complex forms to it, and we're going to start with something besides the cube. So the goal with this is to build up our ability to work with a basic character mesh, and then as we go forward, be able to get more complex with it and add in things like clothing and hair and facial features and what have you. So this one's going to be really kind of Mr. Roboto, if you will. So I'm going to delete that starting cube, and I'm going to go Shift A to add a mesh. I'm going to use the UV sphere on this one. And first thing I should do is choose to make it like set up differently. So I found that if I go with 10 sides on this, and I'm going to go with 8 rings, I think that works pretty well. If I go back up here and I choose top view, I can see that I have parallel sides here, and I'll easily be able to shear off one half so I can model it in mirror mode. So I'm also going to, let's see, I want to close that with N. I kind of want to move this over, and I want to just like open up a separate section here so I can see both sides. Clicking and dragging, there we go. So the cursor actually does change. So I'm in object mode. I need to be in edit mode to make this work. I'm going to shave off one half of the picture, so double A to deselect, B to box select, select that entire side, all those points there, and I want to make sure I only got, and the reason I missed half, let's just undo that. The reason I missed half is I'm actually need to be in wireframe to get both sides. So B to box select again, select, delete vertices, and now I should have a hemisphere, right? So going back to front view, I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to go over here to my modifier panel. So I get modifier by, let's open that up a bit more, click on the wrench and choose modifier mirror in the second column. So now it automatically mirrors. I do need to check clipping. If I don't have clipping on, what happens is I can choose this point here. If clipping is off and I move that, it builds a hole in the thing. If I have clipping on, all the points that are on the zero axis, the zero on the x-axis, are going to stay stuck to that axis and not make holes in the mesh. So next thing I'm going to do is click on this point down here and delete it. And deleting that point should, there we go, vertices. And now I've got this mirrored object, kind of like a pumpkin head, if you will. So we're going to add this as we. So from here it's going to actually go kind of quick. So I'm going to go into front view, and I've got side view here. I think that should be side view. There we go. And then if I use Alt and click, I can select that whole ring at the bottom. So I'm going to extrude or scale it if I want to a little bit first. That's too much. Let's scale it this way. Scale. And then extrude. E for extrude. And that menu keeps popping up, which kind of bugs a little bit. Now to get the shoulders, and this is why I chose a 10-sided shape for the sphere, is as I build the shoulders with the extrude and scan out, build it about 2 heads wide, so almost 4 of those big squares, and I sort of have shoulders happening. Now, some things you need to be elsewhere, like this one, and maybe even this one. Let's see, shift click, there we go. And G and X, so G moves them, and X moves them in the X axis. Let me also scale these S in the Y. So I'm just going to bring those out, and I'm going to collect this point and this point and scale those also in the Y, just so I get more of a shape. And I'm going to do the same thing with these two here. So double A and then B, double A deselects, B to box select, and scale in the Y. Now the goal there is I'm going to have, as this extrudes down, a place to pull an arm out of reasonably well. So let's get this whole ring, Alt click, and let's go back to front view and extrude down. And if you push Z, it pretty much goes straight. But if I do E to extrude and I leave it with whatever axis I choose, then I've got some options. Let me go ahead and make the arm spot there. Extrude again and bring it closer together. And I'm going to get these points here and here and G in the X. So I'm pulling those apart a little bit. A little bit more maybe. G in the X. There you go. So back to front view, Alt click and extrude down a little bit. So now I'm getting where I'm going to build the legs into place. So for that, I'm going to double A to deselect, B to box, and I'm going to pull that straight up. So G, and that's where I'm going to get the legs out of, okay? Let's also take the same thing here, B to box select and pull that down. So G and the Z. Alright, and now what I really want to do is actually link those up. So F will make a face there. So now it's closed at the bottom, except for where the legs are going to come out. So we have to put the legs in place. So there we go. There's the torso. And let's get the arms going before we get too farther. So now, what I am right now, I've been in point mode. I'm going to go to face mode. I'm going to select that face. Sometimes I have to make sure when I'm in wireframe mode that I'm actually got the face I wanted. So let's just zoom up on this and E to extrude. And I'm thinking sort of about the elbow length. And the elbow usually has, a relationship with the bottom of the rib cage there. So if I scale this down, and I'm going to rotate it, maybe, and G up. Okay, I want to rotate this. So one way to get those points all lined up is if I choose point editing again and B to box, get all those, and I'm going to choose S, X, 0. So what that does is it scales it by 0 in the X and it lines all the points up real nice. Let's just bring out the arm some more. So E to extrude and scale that down. And if I go to top view, wow, it came out really skinny. Let me scale that in the Y. And I'm going to double A and B to box. Let's scale that one in the Y also. So there's a few things that'll happen as you go. You'll discover things that you did wrong, and you want to be able to correct, because that's the whole deal, is creating and correcting and doing the best you can. So double A to deselect, B to box. I'm going to go to top view again, and the reason I went to top view is I want to build the hand. So I'm going to extrude out just a smidge. I'm going to scale it in the Y, and I'm going to have the hand parallel to the ground. So I'm just going to extrude out here and scale that down. You could build a thumb in if you want to, but right now a mitt is just fine. Alright, so now we got to do legs. So for legs, I'm going to double A to deselect anything else I might have had. I'm going to choose these points, 1, 2, and I'm shift clicking, 3, 4. Alright, front view again. And as I extrude, it's going to go out in a weird direction. That's okay. You got to kind of guesstimate how long those legs ought to be. Let me G this way, and again, I'm going to try that trick where it levels those out. So S and the Z by 0, and I got this. I'm going to scale that down a smidge. Maybe move it over a little bit again. All right, and let's bring it down a little bit. It'll probably be too long. Extrude down. All right. So what I want to do next is go to side view, I think. I'm already in side view of the other panel, but here it is. So let me scale that in the Y, and I want to just sort of bring it together. Probably these two on the other side are the ones that are my main problem. Let's just scale in the Y. That's kind of like that. And if I B to box select and get all those, I'm going to build the foot now. So extrude down in the Z. Oops, that was the X. G and the Z. Because I already extruded, I couldn't just go backwards too easily. So let's get the face now. Oh, it's so wide. Wow. Let's B to box, select this, scale in the X. There we go. So I'm going back to face mode, double A to deselect, choose face. I want to be in face mode. There we go. Oh, I got the wrong face. I want this face. And if I go to side view, I can extrude out. I can scale in the Z. I can G in the Z down. I want to just make that there. And I'm also going to select the bottom points. I got to go to point mode. So double A, B to box, G in the Y. So if I'm sideways, I'm looking at the Y axis. And that's the mesh for the character. And you can do a lot of correction on this to make it better, but that's essentially the whole deal. Is let's close this off over here, or at least squish it. Squish, there we go. So front view, And now I have a character mesh. It's pretty simple, but it's a starting place for starting to model characters in a real simple way, and then advancing beyond this later to improve on the kinds of designs we could create. So if we go to Z and we go back to solid view, that's kind of what it looks like. And the next thing we'll do is add an armature to it. So that's how it works. Let me know if you have questions. Peace.